Hey guys, it's news for November 21-27, and today I want to start with the biggest incidents of the week. As everyone has probably understood, they are traitors to civilized world in European Union. In addition to the fact that Hungary blocks the European Union decisions for help to Ukraine, it supports terrorism in the form of supporting Russia and expanding relations with Iran. Furthermore, the head of Hungarian Ministry of Foreign Affairs are going to Sochi, Russia, to take a part in Atom Expo event, which organized by Rosatom. And Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban came to a football match wearing a scarf with a map of Greater Hungary, which includes parts of Ukraine and Romania. This week, NATO Parliamentary Assembly recognized Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, and they called for creation of a special international tribunal for Russia. Also, on November 23, the European Parliament recognized Russia as state sponsor of terrorism. And of course, it wasn't a surprise that at this moment Russia launched a new massive missile strike on critical infrastructure of Ukraine that caused almost a full blackout for a few days. And as you remember, it was the same during G20 summit on November 15, when was adopted a declaration demanding the complete, unconditional withdrawal of Russia from Ukraine. So to speak, Russia has immediately confirmed its status of terrorist state. And unfortunately, in these times, there is destruction of infrastructure and deaths of civilians due to the hitting of residential buildings by Russian rocket. And again, the part of Moldova has left without electricity due to this massive attack by Russia. Also, the problem with electricity affected the work of our 3 nuclear power plants. Meanwhile, Russians themselves admitted that they are shelling our another Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. A representative of Rosenergoatom said that Russia will stop to shelling the nuclear power plant if Kyiv signs a document on guarantees, but of course of the terms of occupiers. That isn't at all in the interest of civilized world. Well, this is the same sign of terrorism. The terrorist state continue fighting against civilians and civilian objects in all regions, even using the prohibited projectiles, including phosphorus ones. Russians even shelled a humanitarian aid point in the Zaporizhzhia region. 1 person died and there was wounded. Another, as a result of night Russian missiles attack on maternity part of the hospital in the Zaporizhzhia region, an infant, just newborn, died, a woman was injured, and many people was under rubble. Although the occupiers left Kherson, there still remains in Kherson region and continue shell the city daily, non-stop, day and night. In general, 414 children died and another 849 were injured as a result of the armed aggression of Russian Federation in Ukraine. The main Directorate of Intelligence reports that Russians are planning provocations and series of terrorist attacks on Belarusian critical infrastructure facilities, including nuclear power plant. Of course, to join Belarusian army in a war against Ukraine. They plan to hand the responsibility for those attacks on citizens of NATO countries and Ukraine, who will supposedly dressed in Belarusian military uniform. Also, according to ICW, the Russians are going to attack its own Belgorod region under Ukrainian flag, probably to justify the new mobilization or new massive attack. Well, they always act as terrorists and assholes. In all the occupied territories of Ukraine, our defenders find torture chambers. And the scale of violence of the international humanitarian law increased with each occupied city. But what our defenders saw in Kherson region horrifies even experienced person. 1,000 people passed through the Russian territorial chambers in Kherson. But here, Russian Federation has already reached the point They did separately create a cell for children, also for torture them. And now I want to speak to those who justify Russia, who believe in the world of this lying fiction nation, who talk about peace negotiations and giving territory of our state to Russia. Firstly, you're welcome. You're welcome in Kiev, Kharkov, Kherson, Mariupol, Bucha, or other our cities that are attacked and shelled by Russia every day. Secondly, this was maternity hospital. Under the rubble, killed newborn by Russian rockets. This is a destroyed residential building and killed civilian by Russian rocket. And this is a little girl at the gas station during blackout who came to connect her inhaler that important for her health. And this is a beauty salon at the parking during the air attack. And there are our doctors who perform operations even on the heart during blackout, using headlamps and generators. And look at this woman. She was an accountant, retired, and after Russian invasion in 2014, she trained in medical battalion and became a paramedic. And this year, she met the full-scale invasion in Ukraine, in Mariupol, at the most difficult direction. She stayed with civilians and militaries under Azovstal. After they left Azovstal, he was tortured by Russians. However, she was back. And now she wants to put on the bulletproof vest again and get back into the rank. And this is all our Ukrainian people. We are fighting to protect our homes, our people, our children. But Russians, invaders, Russians terrorists, always came to neighboring countries to kill civilians. Well, it was the man for this week. Glory to Ukraine and our defenders, our partners. And I believe that brightest Ukrainian heart stronger than Russian darkness.